Hello, welcome to another video. Today we're going to create a simple little web page which we can upload files and it'll store them in an S3 bucket for us. So you might implement this as part of another bigger project. So let's take just a picture of a lambda. There's a few things here. We can see we can delete it if we want. It shows us the size. We can upload another one, and then delete this one, upload to S3, and it should go into this bucket. There we go, uploaded a few seconds ago. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is create our React project. So we'll be writing the front end in React and then using Terraform to create an S3 bucket. So npx create React app, and I'm just going to call it upload to S3 video. Okay, so while that creates, please take a second to subscribe if you're following along. It really helps out the channel. So other thing is, today we're not going to be worrying about the CSS. I'm just going to copy and paste some code in, and I'll put that in a GitHub repo that you can also copy and paste in. If you want CSS videos specifically, then there's some others on the channel, and let me know if you want me to cover the CSS for this specific project. Okay, that's the React project created, so let's open that up in Visual Studio Code. There we go. So first thing first, let's create our Terraform. And in here we'll make two files, main.tf and s3.tf. So our main is just going to contain the provider, which is AWS, and I'll be deploying this to EU West 1, but deploy to whichever region you want. And then the S3 file is going to contain our code for the S3 bucket. You could put these both in the same file if you want, but I'm just going to separate it out. I'm going to create a variable for the bucket name. Again, you don't need to do this, but it's useful if you're in a bigger project. It's going to be a string, and I'm going to call it S3 React upload video. Oops. And then our S3 bucket. Upload bucket. And we just need to provide that with a bucket name. Okay, the next thing is bucket policy. We want to allow anyone to get items in the bucket and put items in the bucket. So we've got data, AWS, IAM policy document, which is just going to be allow public access, statement, principles, and we're going to allow this from anywhere. So type star, identifiers star. So in production you probably wouldn't have this open, but just for demonstration today we'll have an open policy. And then we're going to allow S3 list, S3 get, and S3 put. Okay, and the resources, we're going to allow this on. I'll copy these in rather than type them out, but it's just our bucket and the items in the bucket. So first one there's for the bucket. We're using the variable, oops, format that, using the variable bucket name and the ARN, and then /* for items in the bucket. Next thing is the course configuration. So because we're accessing this from a different domain, we need to open up the course config. We'll just call this upload bucket. Specify the bucket this has been attached to, so AWS S3 bucket dot upload bucket dot ID. Oops, upload, it should be dash bucket dot ID. Why is that? I don't know. It doesn't seem to be syntax highlighting, but I think it's okay. Can't see a mistake there. And then the course rule we're going to allow is from, well, with every header, allowed methods will allow put, post, delete, and get. Allowed origins, I'm going to allow everything. Again, you probably wouldn't do this in production, but because we're just deploying locally today, it doesn't matter too much. Oops, that should be allowed methods, not allowed headers. Okay, I think this is right, but it should be highlighting it, but for whatever reason it's not. Okay. Oh, oops. There we go, it's highlighting it now. Right, I'm going to pause the video, put in my AWS credentials into the terminal, and then we'll deploy this. Okay, so I've got my AWS credentials in the terminal now as environment variables. So we need two environment variables, AWS access key ID and AWS secret access key. And then I'm just going to run, well, sorry, we need to go into the Terraform folder and then run Terraform init. Once that's loaded, we then run Terraform apply. You should create a few resources, bucket, and the policy. So if you like, check through, make sure it's creating nothing you don't know about, and then yes. Okay, bucket's created. So now we can get on with our React project. So first thing first, let's tidy up what's in here. We don't need an app.css. We don't need this logo or report web vitals. Can we just make that a bit smaller as well, the terminal? We don't need setup test. Don't need app.test, we're not going to be writing any tests today. And let's just get rid of everything in here. Get rid of strict mode. Get rid of that. Then in the app, we can just have a div at the moment saying hello. Get rid of logo and app.css. Oops. And I think that is everything. We can get rid of this and these two as well. Just make the project a bit smaller. Get rid of that too. Okay, once you're done tidying up, let's run npm run start, and I'll open this up to the side. And it should start up on localhost 3000. There we go. Get our page with hello. Okay, so let's begin building our uploader. So within source, we'll create a components folder, and then we're going to have upload.js, and the other thing we want is upload.styles.js. Okay, in upload.styles.js, this is going to be what I just copy and paste in. Don't want to go through 220 lines of CSS today, but if you would find it useful, let me know and I can record a video on this. And then you see we're using styles components, so we just need to install that as a dev dependency. Shouldn't take too long to install. So in upload, we're going to just first of all make the basic outline of our component. So import React from React, and then have a const upload oh dear, which at the moment is just going to return, let's say, a div which says uploader, and then we need to export that. We'll export it as the default export, and then in app, yeah, we can now import the uploader and try and display that. So it's just called upload. And then here, rather than returning the div with hello, let's return upload. And we can just use one tag if we do a backslash at the end, if there's nothing contained in the element. Okay, so let's have a think about what we want here. So we want to store some state that has the files, and then when we press upload, the state changes and there's a function which is ran to upload it to AWS. Okay, so I'm going to do the HTML first and then we'll come back and do the functions. So first thing, and this is going to use lots of our style components from the other sheet. So first one's going to be file upload container. And within there, we're going to have an input. Oh, we need to import these. Input label, and that is going to be passed in to the component as a prop. We can specify that there. And then, yeah, because it's complaining, let's import all these things. So I'm going to copy and paste this. But these are the components we want to import from the style sheet. Okay, next thing we want is the drag drop text, which is going to say drag and drop your files anywhere, or, and you'll see why in a second. And then upload file button. So this is going to be the button for uploading. Oops. Type this button, and then on click, we're going to run handle upload button click function, which we'll write later. Okay, we can close that off. And within there, we're going to have a couple of things. First is going to be an icon, which we need to add the style sheet for, but it's going to be a font awesome icon, FA file upload. Oops, there's nothing contained in that component, so we can just have a self-closing tag. And so it's not complaining, let's just define this at the moment as an empty function. Okay, you can see it's beginning to come together. Actually, let's get the font awesome sheet, so we need to put that into our index.html. You can copy and paste this from the repo or find one online for font awesome, but it's just a link. And there we get the icon. Okay. And then the next thing after the icon, I'm going to have a span which says upload, and then we're going to control for props whether it can be multiple or only one file that people upload. So if there is a prop saying multiple, it's going to say files, otherwise it's going to say a file, the singular version. Need to close that off there. Okay, so that's the, oh, what's wrong? Other props is not defined. Okay, so we just need to unwrap other props so that we could pass anything in there. Upload a file at the moment, and if we change, in index.js, sorry, no, app.js, I was right the first time. If we pass in multiple, it changes to upload files. Okay, next thing, after the upload button, we're going to have a form field. And this is going to be where we upload the file. So type is file, give it a reference, file input field, we'll define that reference in a second. On changes, handle new file upload, and need a title or a value. And then we're going to pass other props in there as well in case there's something we want to pass to the form field. Okay, so the few things we need to define here: the file input field for a ref, it's just going to be use ref, which we need to import from React. That's just so we can access the file that someone's put in there. And then the next thing is handle new file upload, which we'll just define just now and then come back and write in a second. Okay, beginning to take shape. Still got some more HTML to do though. So that's our file upload container. Next thing is file preview container. So that's going to be where we can see the files if someone's uploaded them. In here, we'll just have a span which says to upload, and then we'll have preview list. And within here, this is going to depend on our state files. So we're going to have a map. So files is going to be an array. Oops. Files. Dot map. We're going to map file and the index, and then map that to a component. So for each file in the array, we'll have a component. So this might not make a huge amount of sense at the moment, but it will when we start writing the functions. So the file is actually going to be an object with a key file, a key file and then the value of the file. So file object is going to be file.file, and then is image file, because we only want previews if it's an image file. It's file object.type, which exists on files, and then .split. And image files are like image/png or image/jpeg or whatever. So we'll split by the slash and then check if the first thing says image. And then file name is also on that file object under dot name. Right, so we've got our stuff, and then what we're going to return from here is a preview container. And let's give this a key because these are generated dynamically, so we need a key to distinguish them so it doesn't delete the wrong thing by accident, which React sometimes does if you don't have a key. And then within there we've got image preview, which the source is going to be url.create object URL for our file object. So create a little preview for us. Oops, there's an extra curly bracket there. What's going wrong here? Oops, there wasn't an extra curly bracket. And then we'll give it some alternate text as well in case something goes wrong there. I'll just call it file preview index. Okay, let's format that. And sorry, what was meant to be in here, the reason there's curly brackets is we only want this to show if it's an image. So is image file and which is a shortcut for saying if it is an image file, show this, if not, don't. Okay, and then underneath that preview we want to show the image metadata, or file metadata. I'm going to pass in is image file, and in here we'll have a few things. Span with file object dot name, and then the other side we'll have a span. I'm going to write this function but convert, because the size is in bytes when we have the image object, so we're going to convert it to kilobytes, which is a bit nicer to read. Convert this to whatever unit you want, but file object dot size kilobytes, and then under there we're going to have the remove file icon. And we'll just give that the font awesome icon for FA trash alt. And on click we want to fire off a function called remove file, and we'll pass in the file name. Oops. Okay, I think that might be everything from the HTML. So what's wrong here? Files isn't defined. Okay, that's the first thing we need to do. So we're actually going to define our state at the top level, or sorry, not top level, but in app, because we want to upload to S3 from app, so we want the state up here. So the state is going to be files, set files, use state, which we need to import, from React. Oops. Next thing, we need to pass files into uploads as well, or upload. So we'll just pass it in files equal files, and set files equals set files. A couple other things we could define here. So I'm going to pass in, this is accept, which is what files we're going to accept uploads from. So at the moment I'm just going to have images, so JPEG, PNG, JPEG with an E, and SVG. Don't really know what the difference between those two JPEGs are, but they do both exist. What else do we need in here? And then label, which is file uploader. Okay, so those props are all being passed down to the upload. So we need to accept them. So we want to, in upload, we want to accept the following props. Sorry, one sec. Lost my place. Label, we want files, set files, and then the other props. Okay, convert bytes to kilobytes isn't defined, so let's just quickly write that. So for that we want a constant, kilobytes per byte, which is 1000, and then convert bytes to kilobytes, which is going to take the bytes in, and then round down bytes divided by kilobytes per byte. Remove files not defined, so up here remove file. Okay, now we should be able to see, why is this blank? Not sure why at the moment. One sec. Let me see if I can find out. Okay, so I worked out what's going on. So here, if we look at the developer tools, we see in the console that it's given us a message, cannot read properties of undefined, read map, and that is at 49 in the upload file. So going to here, we can see we've got files.map, and at the moment files is empty, so or actually maybe we haven't, no, we have defined files I think. So but if we just do files and files.map, when it's empty or undefined, it doesn't try to call map on it. Okay, so let me just double check that we've defined files. Yeah, we've defined files. So if, oh sorry, maybe this is why. Maybe we don't need it now. So we want to define it as an empty list to start with, and then we shouldn't actually need that. There we go. Okay, what's the next thing we need to do? So the moment none of this works, so we want to yeah, we need to write some stuff to actually get it working functionally now. Let me just make that a bit smaller. There we go. So we'll start in the upload file. So we've got our handle upload button click, our handle new file upload, and remove file. So handle upload button click, we just want to, when that's called, we want input file input field, which is our reference.current.click. Okay, so that's allowing them to click anywhere. Or that's allowing when you click on here, it brings up your Explorer. Okay, handle new file upload. So that is being called when you click on the form field. Anytime you click on there, we want to check if there's new files. No, we don't need that actually, that's just some login. But we're going to say files, which is new files, is the event.target. And event is what's being passed into this function. And if new files.length, so if there are any new files, then we're going to call a function add new files with new files. So now we need to define add new files. Which takes in new files. and then we're going to say for let file of new files. So we're looking through them, and set files, which is our state, and files, the previous state goes to a list with the old ones, and then the new file. Oops, that should be 3 dots. And that's all we need in there. Okay, remove file. So this is called when we hit the trash can on the file. I'm going to take the file name and set files, and this time we want to go from our previous state files to a new state which filters out any files with the name file name. So we're going to filter from file, and remember our files is a array with objects where each key is file. So we want to filter and say file.file.name is not equal to file name. There we go. Okay, and it's possible that this will now work. Okay, you see we get this, we remove that, it disappears. We can add multiple things, and then hover over, we see the name, the size, and then we can delete them. Okay, so we've got our basic functionality of putting the files into some form of state. Now we just want to write some logic to send them to S3. So we're going to do that in our app.js. We're going to add a couple of extra things to the HTML here. So have a div with a form, and upload is going to go inside that form. And when that form's submitted, we're going to handle the upload to S3, so we'll call that handle upload. Okay, and then inside that form, we need a button to submit it, which is going to be type submit, and then upload to S3. Okay, handle upload. Now we need to define, which takes the event, and the reason we're taking the event is we want to call event.preventDefault, because by default when you submit a form the page refreshes, which we don't want. Then we're going to log, just so we can see in the console, uploading files, and look through those files, file in files, and then we're going to call a function we'll create in a second, upload image to S3, and we'll pass in files, file.file. Okay, so that's const file, and file is getting the numbers, and then we want the index, which that number is, .file. Okay, upload image to S3 is the next function we need to create. We're getting close to being done. Well done if you've made it this far, and again, please subscribe, it would really help out the channel. So upload image to S3, we're going to take the file, and the parameters we need an ACL for the file. We're going to make it public read body, which is our file, bucket, S3 bucket, and we'll define that in a second. Oops, S3 bucket, and then key is file name. And you could have something. Actually, let's do this. Say like uploads / file name. If you want to store them all in the same folder, it's not really a folder, but it makes it look like a folder in the UI. Then we've got those parameters, and then we're going to do my bucket, which we've not defined yet, but we will in a second. .put object with the parameters. And then if we get an error, we're going to just console.log that error. Right, so S3 bucket needs defined, and my bucket. So my bucket is just the AWS object. So to get that, we need to import AWS from AWS SDK. We need to npm install the AWS SDK. Okay, these are some issues where I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but I have found a solution, so let me just show you that quickly. We need to change the Webpack config basically. So first thing we need to do, and I'll add a link to these so you don't need to type them out yourself, but first thing we need to do is install some dependencies. And then while that's installing, we need to find our Webpack, which is in the React scripts within node modules. React scripts, and then config Webpack. Oh no, sorry, Webpack config here. And then we need to add a fallback to resolve. So again, I'll send you the link to where you can copy and paste this from, or I'll put it in the description. And we need to find the root level resolve block, which I think is down here, maybe. Let's just quickly search for them. Oops, I think I went past it. There, so this is it here. And we want to add this block in. I'll send you the link so you can copy and paste that. And then one other thing we have to add in is in the plugins. Don't worry if you don't understand this, I don't either. But we need to add this. I can't take credit for this solution, it's someone else's, but and to get that working, if we just rebundle it, so we need to close down our development server and then start it up again. I'll just pause the video while it's running. Okay, just a few more things to do now. S3 bucket. So for our configuration, we're going to create a .m file. Now there's a few things that need to go in here. First is our AWS access key ID. I'm going to paste that in when I pause the screen share. And then access key, the bucket name, which is the bucket from our Terraform, and then the region, which is EU West 1. Okay, so I'm going to pause the video and put in my credentials. Okay, I've got those saved in there now. Just a note, don't do this in production. If you were doing something in production like this, you'd need to have a backend serving up your secrets, because if anyone looks at inspect page, then they can see your AWS credentials. So, and you shouldn't have many permissions on those credentials you're putting in there, just in case. So you only really need permissions for S3 with those credentials. You might also want to add that to the git ignore in case you accidentally push it to GitHub. Right, back to app. So we need S3 bucket, which we now have as an environment variable, so we can get that out. So the format of those environment variables is for the create React app. It has those mapped already, so you can just do process.env. Whatever your name was, and then same with region. At my bucket, we're going to set up the AWS config. With our credentials, so access key ID is process.env.react app bucket name. Sorry, that's completely wrong, ignore me. That should be your React app access ID, and then secret access key should be process.env.react app access key. We need a comma there. Right, now we've got the config. We can say my bucket is a new AWS.S3 client with parameters bucket name and the region. Okay, and I think that might be everything. So let's try it out. So I'm going to sign into my AWS account. I'll pause the screen for that. Okay, go to our S3 bucket. And see if we can upload something to it using this UI. So just try uploading this. Upload to S3. Okay, missing key and parameters. It looks like that's there. Let me see if I can work out what's going on there. I'll just show you a bit of debugging. Not worked out why it is yet, but let's just log these parameters so we can see what's going on, because it looks to me like bucket name is there. Oops, that should be the line after. So, oops, oh, that's fine. Upload. So we've got bucket undefined. So something's gone wrong with our environment variables. Let's just there as well, let's log the region to double check if it's a problem with all of our environment variables. So it looks like that's undefined as well. So something isn't working with our, oops, well, I'll delete those access keys before I publish this video, so you might as well see them now. Something's not working with our environment variables. Let me try and work out why. Okay, annoyingly it worked for me when I closed down and restarted the React app. So hopefully you don't run into that problem. If you do, just try closing it and restarting it. Right, so now let's test it out. And as I say, don't even bother trying these because I'm going to delete it straight away. Upload files. So let's try uploading this picture of API gateway, and we get a log. Oh, the one thing we forgot to do is remove this from the state when it's been uploaded. So after we have looked through all the images and uploaded them, we want to set files to an empty array. Okay, so if we refresh that again, upload file, click upload, empties it from there, and if we go into here, we go into our bucket, uploads, we can see that was just uploaded. So let's try with a few more things to make sure it's definitely working. So let's select all of these. They all come up here. We can delete them if we want, or we can upload them. And if we go across to our S3 bucket, and we see all of those have been uploaded. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe, it really supports the channel. I know it was a long one today, but hopefully you find that useful. Let me know if you're stuck on any of it, and it's definitely not a polished application, so feel free to add some bits on and let me know how you get on. But I'll add the link to the GitHub repo in the description, and a link to this thing here, which is what you need to do to your Webpack config. Thank you very much, and see you in the next one.